All right, peace, family. We back in the building with another episode of Tech Building Podcast. When the devil tries to keep you down, you always show with the strategy. So, gonna jump right into For the Culture Part 2. I will be getting to the point of this topic, but I want to finish going through the rest of the songs from the Kendrick Lamar beef. And I'm recording this on Friday, May the 17th. So, there's been some kind of developments. Some things I'm not going to talk about because I just think it's kind of like nonsense, but then other things I'm going to talk about because I feel like it's relevant to the subject matter. So, I finished off talking about, or finished the last episode talking about Euphoria. And one of my favorite lines from the song was how he said back to back, I like that record. I'm going to get back to that for the record. Immediately, I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, what is in back to back that is going to be, I guess relevant to what Kendrick is going to try to talk about. So I want to listen to back again. And I thought about a couple things. So when I went and listened to it, I didn't really hear anything that was particularly relevant that I could find out, or that I could connect to, why he's going to release it, why he put that in Euphoria. So then, of course, I think it was 3 days later, Kendrick dropped 616 in LA. So I'm still listening to like all the songs. The only song that I don't listen to is Meet the Grams because one, I don't really like the beat. In my opinion, I don't like the beat, but I feel that the intention was it's meant to make you very uncomfortable. And I seen somebody on Twitter say like, yeah, Meet the Grams is not a song you play on repeat. It's just really a dark type of song. And I really agree with that. And like I said, I don't really listen to Meet the Grams because now the intro piano part, bim, 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 bim. I love that part a lot. But the song, I don't really like the beat, but I think the theatrical intention, you're supposed to feel uncomfortable with the subject matter of the song. So I respect that. But that's the only song that I haven't really listened to. Probably listened to Meet the Grams probably 5 or less times. So, but 616 in LA is my personal favorite song of the entire, exchange, because as people have put it, it's the lyrical miracle, style of song that Kendrick produced. Kendrick was very lyrical, I felt, on Euphoria, but I guess it just kind of has the feel of a more rapping style of song, and I'm not going to go over all the lyrics. And I know I said that before and then I ended up going over, the whole song, but I will just highlight some things that I really took from it that I felt was very important. The first part was that I thought was really great was the opening is survival. Like I thought that part was really fire. Like I thought, again, I felt that Kendrick's theme throughout this entire battle is, I kind of put it together like excluding the ending part of the movie, but it was like Kendrick really law-abiding citizen Drake, meaning he just felt like he was so far ahead. And looking back on it, with Euphoria, I felt like Kendrick was kind of saying like, okay, I'm going to demonstrate to you that you're really not on my level as far as rapping is concerned. So the only thing that you really have left is, to sling mud, to spill tea, as people say. And so I guess I felt like he was saying like, all right, bro, if you do that, I'm going to go here with it. You know what I mean? But I felt like Kendrick is really showing Drake like, bro, you cannot rap with me. You're rapping, the rap skill category is really not close, but I like the theatrical approach that Kendrick took really to every song with Euphoria, 616 LA, then Meet the Grams, and then Not Like Us. Every song, it really felt like a story. It felt like every song was like a chapter and you were getting a different style or a different perception or evoking different emotions and thoughts based on where we were or where we are in the story, So I'm gonna back up to the beginning. So now when Kendrick is saying back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. Now it's like he solidifies the meme. I gotta say this part. This was where I felt Drake made a critical mistake. I'm not sure, like there was a lot of mistakes that Drake made in this battle, but I felt like this one in particular was critical. I felt like Drake really, really, really messed up with this. You cannot hear Kendrick say back to back, I like that record. I'm gonna get back to that for the record. And I think you preemptively, you don't give him the opportunity to back you. Because if you're Drake, you've seen the monumental effect of back to back when he originally did it to Meek Mill. It has such a huge impact on the battle that if my enemy is going to hint at that, I got to put something together real quick, and I got to put that out. Now I feel like, and I've heard a lot of people say this too, that Family Matters by Drake was his nuke, was his, red button, if you will. You know what I mean? So with Family Matters being Drake's, his trump card, I felt like he was like holding it. And so he's like, all right, I heard Euphoria, it's cool, sound good, whatever the case may be. But he's like, all right, what I got with Family Matters is going to squash anything that Kendrick is going to be able to put out. And I genuinely feel like that was Drake's, sentiment throughout the battle. Like, all right, once Kendrick said what he say, put out Family Matters and it's going to squash Kendrick. But the missed opportunity of letting Kendrick back to back you in the battle was just, I felt catastrophic. You know what I mean? But so get into the song, the opening part is survival. Then he says, I think somebody lying, smell somebody lying. I don't see no fire. It's like, these are subtle ways of giving you a perspective on what's really going on. And what I mean is when you look back on this battle in retrospect and that things are still, coming out and being unveiled even as we speak, a couple weeks after the battle concluded, it just shows again that Kendrick is like, it feels like Kendrick is above he's above the battleground and he's observing the whole thing how it's going down. And he's giving us these like hints that kind of is like letting us know that, bro, this thing is like, I see what's going on and I'm trying to let people know what's really going on, so I think somebody lying, I smell somebody lying, but I don't see no fire. Goes to the line, liar, liar, pants on fire. So that means the liar is being hidden or the liar is hidden. I just think that was a great play with subtleties. I felt I explained a lot when we're talking about creative expression and lyricism. So I don't feel like I need to belabor that in this particular episode. But what Kendrick was doing with the lyrics on 616 in LA, I think is by far the most underrated. Excuse me. Now I get it that it is the shortest song of the battle. I think it's only like 2 minutes and some change, maybe 3 minutes, something like that. But again, this is my personal favorite. And it's really getting into the rapping style that he really does so well. He's rapping, like in his normal voice, not being super animated, but things like Off-White Sunseeker at the Marina. Now, again, people are going crazy. It's kind of like one of the things I like about today's day and age where you get these, real in-depth rabbit hole breakdowns, Off-White Sunseeker at the Marina. Forget a fan, I buy yachts when I get the fever. People are going in and they're just breaking down just this one little part. Sunseeker is a type of yacht, or just kind of things like that. But if we just going on just the surface of it, how he's just rapping this part. Wine cooler spilling my white tea, my white t-shirt, the sightseer, trifecta, money, morals, and culture. That's my leisure, my visa, passport tatted. I should show up in Ibiza. This just does a lot for me as just a real, like a hip hop like fan. My early hip hop days go to Gangstar, Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, the typical ones you would get from somebody that was born in the late 80s, early 90s. And this just hits all the trigger points for me when you're getting all of this, as they say, lyrical miracle, which I think is a backhanded compliment. But to me, it kind of fits in this regard. You know what I mean? The Luke Ellis dwellings in Brooklyn just to book me some pizza. That was going to, I felt like, again, Kendrick is showing his mastery of the battlefield, where he's talking about people, on Joe Budden podcast, he was talking about why is he living in Brooklyn and not in LA, things of that nature. So he's kind of getting to that, kind of squashing that without it being able to get its full reign. Then he said, get to this part where he's talking about, God, my confession is yours, but who am I if I don't go to war? This is the first part of really getting to my macro subject, where we're talking about war, or where we're talking about, as Sister Rhapsody was saying, if you're cut from the cloth, this is how you carry yourself, But this particular part, and maybe it's survival, because like now Kendrick is sitting back, he's saying like, yo, it's survival. This thing is bigger than necessarily just a rap situation. This type of situation or interaction I'm having with Drake, and how he's using Tupac and Snoop's voice, and he's coming at me in a certain kind of way. I'll be with some bodyguards like Whitney. He's playing this kind of game, and the way Drake is kind of, trying to draw Kendrick out with the, oh, nah, you following through. You don't have nothing to drop. You scared to drop, all these kind of things like that. It feels like he's like provoking Kendrick. And Kendrick is like, all right, it's like, it's survival. It's survival. And it's like, yo, I gotta do this. To a degree, it's like, I gotta do this. Ironically, Drake posts the Equalizer 2 scene, great, very infamous scene. People that know me know I love Denzel in the Equalizer series. And he walks out there and he's talking to the, I believe it's 4 Caucasians. And he's saying, the mistake you made is that you killed my friend. And I'm going to kill each and every last one of you. And my only regret is I'm only going to be able to do it once. And if anybody that's watched the Equalizer series knows that the majority of the time, if not all the time, Denzel really gives the people the option to choose to do the right thing. To really be like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to continue down this road. I'm going to go ahead. He's giving people the option. But when it goes down, it's like, dang, this is the result. And this is kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about like, it's survival. This thing is hip hop. It's bigger than just music, especially for Black people. But this part of, God, my confession is yours, but who am I if I don't go to war? This is talking about the personality. I mean, yo, I don't think people see these things in this kind of in-depth way. Who am I if I don't go to war? In the Quran, it talks about fighting is ordained for you. There's a chapter in the Holy Quran, I believe it's chapter 47, where it talks about, the title is Muhammad, but we're taught that Muhammad also means war. In the Quran, it talks a whole lot about fighting is ordained for you. Struggle is ordained for you. All these kind of things like that. So when he's talking about who am I if I don't go to war, I mean, he's also talking to God in the song. He's like, this is a part of who I am. How can I be a man if I don't go to war, if I don't fight with this person? And we're talking the Holy Quran. We fight with those who fight with us. This person's he's trying to draw me out, So I gotta be me. I gotta be a man. And it's like, again, you're taking the God element into it. It's like, God, you made me this way. You know how I have to handle this thing. Let me move on. And again, maybe this is this sequence is probably why it's my favorite part. Which is like, God, who am I? My confession is yours, but who am I if I don't go to war? There's opportunity when living with loss. I discover myself when I fall short. This is just deeply personal to me. When you're talking about the vulnerability and the brother is talking about there's vulnerability when I fall short. Or no, not, I discover myself when I fall short. When you have honest, open, let's just say dialogue or introspection, and you're going through a difficulty and you fall short, you don't reach a goal to what you get to, or you fail in a certain interaction. When you say I discover myself when I fall short, anybody that has that level or type of introspection and is honest, and I take it, I'm going to digress very quick. When I used to play a game called Halo a lot, and when you would watch, or when you would, play the game a lot, there'd be a lot of reasons why you could blame or why you lost. Oh, my teammates didn't do this, or, the map was this is a trash map, or the connection was this or that. There'd be 100 reasons why you could blame somebody or something else for loss. But until you have the level mind, or you have the humility to sit back and look at yourself and say, okay, how could I have done better? What could I have done better in this interaction where I could improve as an individual? Then you really discover more about your own self. And it obviously goes into a much bigger, life type of discussion. You know what I mean? Where you're talking about your failures in life. You could blame your mom. You could blame your parents. You could blame your upbringing, born in a, impoverished neighborhood, things of that nature. But when you take a look on the inside and say, what can I control in my situation? And what have I controlled in my life situation that has helped put me in a situation that I'm not pleased with? To put that in a rap song and to kind of, again, I know I said Kendrick's rapping in his normal voice, but these parts like is survival and the whole, we're talking about God, who am I if I don't go to war? It's kind of like singing it. And it kind of gives this emotional, kind of scope to the lyrics. And it's like a person is having a talk or a conscious interaction with their own self. And they're like, man, there's opportunity when living with loss. Bro, the opportunity, that's like, it's just super deep when you're talking like that. When you deal with loss, there's opportunity for growth. There's opportunity for all kinds of, discovery and findings and all of these kind of things like that. Really when you go through a loss, I've heard people say before, every loss is a lesson. I've heard people say, I don't really learn anything from wins. It's hard to learn from when you get a win, but when you experience a loss, then you really like, man, okay, I really could have did this better. I failed here. I didn't, in sports, like, man, I missed on this assignment. I didn't block this person. I missed this read, X, Y, and Z. You get more out of dealing with a loss. And again, so you're talking about that, I discover myself when I fall short. That is really personal to me. And it really covers a whole spectrum of things dealing with introspection. So I'm going to skip ahead. Then they tell me who going to stop me. I come from love. It's like now, and then the beat is kind of, Kendrick really crazy, man. Kendrick is really, really crazy because now the beat is like, it's ramping up, it's kind of building up at that, to a certain point. You know what I mean? And then he says, I know this type of power is going to cost, but I live in circadian rhythms of a shooting star. Bro, just read that or listen to that and really just think on that. I'm going to touch on this first part. I know this type of power is going to cost. This is getting into macro here to a degree. If we have studied hip hop culture, hip hop in its origin, then you will come to understand, and I will point to a reference, Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad's book. It's the Pop Plot Part 2. And the long title is Understanding the Assault on the black manhood and black masculinity. I hope I'm getting that correct. But that book, the first part is getting into the weaponization, really the nature, motivation, and weaponization of food, air, water, sound, a lot of different things that our open enemy is using against us as black men to attack those elements, our manhood and our masculinity, and us as black men. And so part two goes into part two being, called the pot plot, goes a little bit further and gets specific when it starts talking about weaponized marijuana and weaponized hip hop. And he's starting to talk about how hip hop, to use his language, has been commandeered by the synagogue of Satan. Hip hop began with a certain nature, certain type of content, certain type of message. And after a time, it had been commandeered, and it still is, by our open enemy, and is now being used as a tool for the benefit of the synagogue of Satan, and not being used for the upliftment and the awakening of black people. And he gets specific, and he starts talking about the people that control hip hop. Now, what do you mean by control? Control meaning, and you can go to there's a lot of artists. He talks about the song "The Rape Over" by Brother Mos Def, where he's talking about, again, you can look up the lyrics of the song. He's talking about the lack of control, or the control by groups that are not black people. I'm going to call them the synagogue of Satan, and also to take that a little bit further, an artist cannot just put out whatever music that they want. Before the Migos got really big, in the public sphere, they was putting out music all the time. They would just drop a random song. Offset or Quavo or Takeoff or whomever would just release a random song by themselves, or they release a random song with them as a group, or it would just be, they would put out mixtapes after mixtape, all this kind of music. But Quavo posted on his Twitter not too long ago. It might have been towards the end of last year, but I'm not sure. But he was pretty much talking about how he wishes that there was an outlet for mixtape music, and it made me sit back and say like, man, these people cannot put out music when they want, how they want, and it kind of, you'd be like, man, that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? But the point of what I'm saying is, hip hop is not controlled by black people. You can't just put out songs that you want to put out without getting clearance. Brother Wesley's going and he's talking about, how the song WAP by Sister Cardi B and Sister Meg Thee Stallion, it got the green light by a specific individual, and I forget who it was. That's on YouTube if a person wanted to see that. But talking about where he's talking about the song WAP by Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. So my point is, we cannot just do as we please in our own culture. That's a problem, But when Kendrick is saying, he said, I wanted to get it right. Give me one moment. I know this type of power is going to cost. When you're dealing with somebody on the level of Drake, this person is such a individual of great magnitude and influence. The reason why I didn't think Kendrick was going to respond to Drake was because in order to win the battle, to come out on the winning side of the battle, you really have to change the way people view the person that's in the mainstream eye. And this is why I felt like Pusha T, Common, and Joe Budden, they could never beat Drake in a battle, because the court of public opinion is really going to sit back and say, all right, Joe Budden, who are you? Pusha T, who are you? Common, who are you? Even though these people are well known, especially in the hip hop atmosphere, they're well established. But when you're dealing with the mainstream eye, the mainstream ear, they can just easily be swept under the rug. So when Kendrick is saying, I know this type of power is going to cause, I'm like, yeah, bro, it's like, I know I'm potentially playing with fire, but I live in circadian rhythms of a shooting star. So it's like, yo, I know that I'm not going to be around in this spot forever. That's kind of like how I'm putting it for now, you know? And so I'm looking at it like, man, Kendrick is really, again, going back to when I heard the Like That verse. I'm like, yo, Kendrick really not playing. You know what I mean? And Drake has a lot of powerful people behind him. I'll hopefully come back to that, inshallah. So that particular line is so powerful. And then he goes into the part, but the industry's cooked as I pick the carcass apart. I mean, come on, man. The industry's cooked line. I'm going to say this and I'm going to be quick and I'm going to move on. We have to be intelligent thinking people. And partially, I'm trying to use my podcast, my platform for that, to try to urge us to be intelligent thinking men and women, brothers and sisters. When he says that line, the industry is cooked, just go do a little bit of research about the really the music industry in general. You point to one quick person, Vince Staples. He's going on, he's talking about these kind of things, you know. But you go and do a little bit of digging and looking into how the music industry is faring, especially pre-COVID, during COVID, and what we can kind of categorize as post-COVID. You know, Kendrick is really, again, he's trying to let us know what's going on. And then it's kind of almost like a double entendre. We're talking about the industry is cooked as I pick the carcass apart. We're talking about Drake. Because Drake is the biggest, he's probably the biggest overall artist in the world. Now, that might be a stretch, but without any question, he's the biggest hip hop artist in the world. And we know for many years, hip hop's been the biggest genre. I don't know how true that is in 2024, but hip hop, I'm pretty sure, is still one of the biggest genres in hip hop or in music in general. So he's saying the industry is cooked, Drake is cooked, and I'm picking the carcass apart. I mean, bro, the depth in what Kendrick is able to convey, and again, a very poetic, I'm saying simple as far as the execution, you know, the simplicity of making it into one line without having to be too wordy or elaborate too much on it. That's what I mean by simple. It's really just, it's very powerful, and it's really, quite honestly, it's like a magical way. It's a very great demonstration of his talent and skill. So then he gets it, then it's like, all right, now back to the beef, back to the rap situation. Yeah, somebody's lying. I can see the vibes on Act. Even he looking compromised. Let's put the layers back. You know. Budden classified that as a shout out to Act. I don't live in the whole any press is good press. You know, I don't live in that. I think if I'm looking at that, I'm looking at my integrity by Kendrick is being questioned, which that would make that a problem. I'm not going to break down all the lyrics because, again, a lot of this stuff still too, like where he says conspiracies about Cash Dog, that's not even the leak. Find the jewels like Cash Dog. I just need you to think. That's still coming out. You got the guy, I forget the guy's name, but at the end of the person's Twitter handle was like 2024. And he has all the memorabilia. I'm not even going to get all into all that because to a degree, until it's proven, until it's solidified, it's like, bro, you probably just posting this for it to get clicks and all that. I don't really put a whole lot of stock in it, but things are still coming out about it. And so he says, he said, are you finally ready to play? Have you ever? Let's see. Have you ever thought that OVO was working for me? Fake bully. I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it. Can Tusi slide up out of this one? It's just going to resurface. It's like Kendrick, again, he's like looking over the board, the battlefield. And there's a great war general, Hannibal Barca, and he was kind of like, Hannibal is so infamous where he was in the mind of the Roman soldiers. He had them shook. where you're like, dang, man, this person, I'm just scared to even go around this corner or do this or that because I feel like Hannibal was like, he's so far ahead of the game. And that's how Kendrick really appears. Now, again, where everybody know, everybody don't know probably, but the end of Hannibal, I'm not saying that in this regard, but this is like the effect that Kendrick is having on Drake. I feel like where he feels so far ahead of the game. He feels so far ahead of the curve where you're just like, man, he's touching every part of the potential avenues, any avenue that Drake could use to flank Kendrick or to take advantage of Kendrick in this battle. It's like he's just cutting it off at every point. And where he says you can't tussy slide about it this one, it's just going to resurface. So, bro, even if you try to use your star power to get people to look at me different, use your star power to, sweep it under the rug and not pay so much attention to it, bro, it's just going to come back up again with somebody else. And if you look at the battle with Joe Budden, Pusha T, I don't really remember the song that had Common on it, but you could hear it's like your authenticity is being questioned. Your lifestyle is being questioned. Your morality is being questioned. All of these things are being questioned from people, quite frankly, who are considered certified in the hip hop community with Pusha T and Joe Budden. You can say what you want about accolades and number ones and all that kind of stuff like that, but Joe Budden and Pusha T are just certified, really legends in hip hop. Say what you want about Joe Budden. He's a certified legend in hip hop, bro. We already know this about Pusha T, but I'm like, people might look down on Joe Budden because whatever the case may be, he only had the song Pump It Up or whatever the case may be. But Joe Budden is a certified legend in hip hop. And so he's saying you can't tootsie slide about this one, bro. It's going to come back around again. You're going to have to face it again. It's like he's speaking to the person of Drake, Aubrey Graham. You dig what I'm saying? Moving on. Can't tootsie slide about it. This one is just going to resurface. Every dog got to have his day. Now live in your purpose. Telling somebody that your purpose is to die, to lose this battle in dramatic fashion and to really die in the battle sense is really, really, really crazy. I'm going to move on. It was fun until you started putting money out in the street, then lost money because they came back with no receipts. I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace, but war ready if the world is ready to see you bleed. Bro, the whole putting money out, trying to get dirt, that came up in the whole Pusha T, beef or whatever, where they was talking about how Drake was trying to find stuff on Pusha T, couldn't find anything. So now again, it's coming back up with Kendrick Lamar, where they, allegedly Drake, I think it was like 200 bands, something like that, where, he gave it to tried to give it to one of his mans or his wife, Whitney, and, nothing came back. So it was like, but the whole part of, I'm sorry, I live a boring life. I love peace, but war ready if the world is ready to see you bleed. I felt like this was another, I'm the one in control of the game. And I've been looking at the landscape of the people, and I see that, all right, people are ready now to see you bleed. Before, you was like untouchable. Even though you was losing battles, it was still looked at where it's like, bro, like it didn't really phase you, didn't really do anything to you. But now it's like, okay, the people are now ready to see you take a hit. They want to see if you can really stand up with somebody on your caliber and see if you can go toe to toe with them. I thought that was a brilliantly crafted line. No, you can't sleep. These images trouble you. No, the wires in your circle should puzzle you. If you were street smart, then you would have caught that your entourage is only to hustle you. Then further down where he says, but let me tell you some game, because I can see you, my little homie. You're playing dirty with propaganda. It blow up on you. You're playing nerdy with Zach B and Twitter bots, but your reality can't hide behind Wi-Fi. This is my favorite song. As I'm reading this, I'm like, bro, this is really my favorite song. Like, the way that he's really talking to Drake. He's having really like, yo, you can't do nothing with me. And I see all of what you got going on. I see every angle that you're trying to attack me on. And I'm letting you know already that it's not even going to work. I'm getting information from, we'll definitely come back to this whole, feeding information situation. But he's saying, I'm getting information from somebody on your team, which again goes back to the Pusha T situation, where Pusha T was saying, yo, the information about him having a child and all that came from 40. Where he's talking about how, 40 was talking to a young lady, giving up all this information, then the information gets back to Pusha T. That's where it came from. So it gives precedence to what Kendrick is talking about, where he's not just pulling something out of thin air, But you're playing dirty with propaganda and blow up on you. We see that right now. Where it's like you're kind of trying to steer how people, it kind of goes back to the line where Kendrick and you force on how you're a master manipulator. You're trying to steer how people think and see a person with academics, coming out. And when he heard Euphoria, he was going crazy. Oh, this is not a bop. And he was like, saying the lyrics in this kind of really drawn out, kind of sleepy kind of way, trying to make it look in a certain kind of way. And also with the AI, trying to make Kendrick look like a son, like somebody that's just, and it just didn't work. And it ended up backfiring because a lot of people didn't like the fact that you used Tupac and Snoop Dogg's voice. People didn't like that from what I seen. You understand what I'm saying? Even though we understood it was AI, it just didn't like the gesture, So then he's talking about you playing nerdy with Zach B and Twitter bots, where, that's why a lot of stuff I see on Twitter, if it's like a hot button issue, like it's a male female relationship thing, or it's like a racial thing, I don't even, I think it automatically think it's a bot. Especially when it got a whole lot of views, whole lot of interaction and whatnot. I feel like it's being used to get this type of interaction from people. But again, Drake is known to, I won't say Drake is known, but from what we're kind of seeing from the landscape, Drake is trying to do a good job of steering narratives. Always on Instagram posting a story, trying to get people to, again, think in a certain kind of way, but not using his ability. That's why Kendrick is saying, but your reality can't live behind Wi-Fi. Everybody that's tuning into your perceived reality is doing it on the internet. And it's not gonna stand up. It's not gonna hold up. Again, I just feel like it's perfectly crafted, but composed with the person's talent. It's a perfect mixture of skill and talent. He says, your little memes is losing steam. They figured you out. The forced opinions is not convincing. Y'all need a new route. Sister Azalea Banks coming out and talking about, Kendrick songs whack and all that, the diss tracks, and Gilly coming out and saying, Euphoria wasn't good and all that kind of stuff like that. It's like, bro, come on. It doesn't even sound believable. But again, he's just checking off all the boxes. And then to me, this was the line of the battle to me. Before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do. And so this episode is not 2 hours long. I encourage everybody to go and read Brother Wesley's book, either The Pot Plot or the book Regicide, where he talks about Michael Jackson, how Michael Jackson was murdered, and the atmosphere and all the people that was around Mike that really led to our brother's, one, the change of his skin color. That's number one. But then how all the people around Brother Mike really led to his ultimate death. All the different hands and minds that was around Mike and trying to control this or that. Bro, it's really the most in-depth line to me that was, again, so simply put in this one line in a battle where it was like, yo, it's an attack. But man, the depth of that line, before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do. Bro, as they say in battle rap, that's a haymaker. That's a whole haymaker, bro. Like that right there, that line was to me the line of the battle, in my opinion. So then we get to the Drake release of Family Matters. I think Euphoria I think came out like a Tuesday or something like that. And then a few days later, I think it was a Thursday, Kendrick drops 616 in LA. And then Drake drops Family Matters. Okay. I have to be fair. And I will be fair. The 3 beats on Family Matters, super fire. Super fire. Especially the second and third beat. Excuse me, if the 3 beats that Kendrick chose on Euphoria, I would say the beats on Family Matters was better, but I give the beats on Euphoria the edge because of the originality. You know, Drake's beats didn't sound like not saying it sounded like something that we heard before, like literally, but it sounded like the music of today. You know, it was like, okay, this is the current meta, the current dispensation of hip hop. That's what this sound like. But it was fire though. Beats was super fire. I thought it was funny, the whole where, he has his mom open up where she's like, maybe you shouldn't, in this song you shouldn't say, and then Drake gets on there and he says the N-word. And like throughout the song, he's like dropping the N-word a whole lot. I'm not mad at that. And this opening part I thought was fire. He said, N-word, I said it, I know that you're mad. I've emptied the clip over friendly jabs. You mentioned my seed and I did with his dad. Now the whole I gotta go bad part, that sound like zesty, sassy. I gotta go bad. Like that don't even, to me, that sounds crazy. But you mentioned my seed and I did with his dad. I like that. I like the energy on this part. I've emptied the clip over friendly jabs. I like that. Again, I like the energy of that. But now when he gets on the joint and he goes, drop, 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 I'm like, bro, Drake, come on, bro. I don't know why people like stuff like that. That's just me. I don't know. But I don't know why people like stuff like that. Drop a 50 bag for the mob in the spot. Bro, okay, whatever. I was really, really trying to keep it PG. Bro, stop. That sounds crazy coming from you. I felt like, and I guess I would say maybe this is maybe Drake's third biggest mistake. Drake didn't do a good job of reading the room. You got somebody out there insinuating that you're a pedophile, and you talking about I was really, really trying to keep it PG. You're not doing a good job of reading the room, bro. You're missing the boat in that regard. I just didn't like the way that it sounded. My first initial reaction to this part before I listened to the whole joint, I was like, yo, this is trash. I thought the battle was over after I heard this part because I'm like, yo, this is trash. Then, yeah, getting into the, but you civilian gang in life, you PC, you know who really bang and said my dude YG, you know who really bang and said my dude Chuck T. Bro, it just doesn't hit. Why are you even mentioning these people? He said, and yo, my dude Cole losing sleep over this. It ain't me. I thought that was cool. I thought that was funny. Again, Drake, I thought had great jokes in this battle. For sure. You better have some paperwork or that's a fake T. Can't be rapping about no ratting that we can't read. He only insinuated that you were snitching. And so I'm connecting it with, I know stuff about dudes that make Gunna Wanna look like a saint. He's only really inferring or insinuating that you snitched. So it's kind of like, okay, bro, like I feel you, but I feel like that line, it didn't land all the way, but it was cool. You better have some paperwork or that stuff fake T. Can't be rapping about no ratting that we can't read. Surface level, it's a hitter. That line scores. I'm skipping past that part, the word part where he mentions Metro, which I mean, a lot of people, kind of came down on Drake for that, where, Kendrick is coming at you and you are spending time, focusing on other people. I understand that. I feel that. And I really tend to agree with that. But I'm not mad at Drake for doing that part, because he felt like there were multiple people attacking him. It's cool. Like in a battle, that people try to take points away for that, where it's like, somebody's rapping direct at you and you rapping about other people. It depends on how you use it. And are the lines that you're using to address other people effective? I've seen it happen where a person has mentioned other people and it's effective. I mean, I've seen it happen I've seen it happen a lot in battles, So again, it's all about how you use it. I didn't take points away for Drake in this battle by addressing like Metro Ross and people like that. I didn't take away for that. This was Drake's biggest mistake. I would say, his third most important mistake, where he says, out here, okay, no. Always rapping like you're trying to get the slaves freed. Drake, read the room, bruh. Read the room. Now, the next line, you just acting like an activist is make-believe. Bro, like, now, see what I'm saying? Like, all right, so when you're writing it, that part, you acting like an activist is make-believe, that line hits. But when you're saying, you're rapping like you're trying to get the slaves free, people looking at you like, bro, for real? And now your cultural equity, if you will, your authenticity is really being drawn into question. And so that line is not, you're just not paying attention. You're doing the opposite of what Kendrick is doing. Kendrick is paying attention and he's striking all the right notes. It feels like, Drake, you're not really paying attention, and then you're striking all the wrong notes. Don't go back to your hood and plant any money trees. This is what the great thing about Twitter is. Like, you got a lot of people on Twitter coming out and showing how Kendrick is going and doing things for his community. So it's like, these lines are not hitting. You say you hit the girls that I smash for what you really mean. I've been with black and white and everything in between. You the Black Messiah wifing up a mixed queen. The whole mentioning the type of women that you get with, I didn't get that. And then I don't subscribe to this whole, first off, the whole mixed thing, but that's a subject for another day. But me being a Black Messiah and wifing up a mixed queen, what does that really even got to do anything? Even if she was white, what does that got to do anything? That doesn't change me as an individual. I don't get that. And hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem, I don't get that. This line, I thought, now it's not that I don't get it, but it's like, it just doesn't connect. It's like, but now this line, on some Bobby stuff, I want to know who Whitney needs. Like, that's funny. To me, that line is definitely funny. I'm trying to see what Whitney needs. Like, yo, I thought that line was hilarious. I wish Drake would have played more into the comedy part. It would have hit, I felt like, a lot more. All that puppy love was over in your late teens. Then now we get into, why you never hold your son and tell him say cheese. That's a little bit weird. Like, it's weird in the sense of people don't got to take pictures with their children for the internet. They don't got to do that. We could have left the children out of this, but don't blame me. You a dog and you know it. You just play sweet. I don't know what that line meant. I'm going to skip past that because I don't know what that meant. I'm going to skip ahead. I heard one of them little kids might be Dave Free. Then he does it like, Dave Free. Drake, bro. Come on, man. That's not a banger. That didn't even sound good. Again, when I hear lines like that, and then also the slaves free line, you don't got nobody in your corner on your team, which again goes back to what Kendrick was saying, but you don't got nobody in your circle that will pull your coat, pull you over to the side and be like, bro, that slaves free line, that's not politically correct, something you want to say today. The whole day free, extending the syllable like that, bro, that's not hitting right now, bro. You got to have people on your team that will say that. I feel like Drake, he just doesn't. He has people on his team that's just like, yo, Drake, whatever Drake say, it's cool. That's not good. Then he goes into, I think this is like a Sexy Red chorus or whatever, or something like a Sexy Red song where she does the joint, let that shorty breathe. And he's getting, hands on your knees. I think that's like a Sexy Red reference. Then he's saying, shake that for free. Then he says, yeah, well, not that kind of free. I'm talking about my dude, Dave. Bro, that was cringeworthy bad. That was like the white guy in the cypher rapping bad. Like the white guy. That just didn't do. That line sounded so bad. That whole segment from the Dave Free extended syllable all the way down to the, yeah, not that type of free. I'm talking about my dude Dave. Like, bro, that was terrible. And so I think I was on my way home when I heard this for part for the first time. And I'm like, all right, this is trash. Drake has now devolved where now it's all right, it's completely trash. I think I turned it off at that part. Then I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. Then I realized the song was 7.5 minutes. So I'm like, okay, let me see what Drake is really going to do. I like this. Your man, a Lil K, we call that stuff a mini Drake. Thought that was a fire line. Hitter. He said, I always overlooked him. I was staring straight. Very funny. Very good line. These bars going over Kenny head no matter what I say. Cool. Like that. I know you like to keep it short, so let me paraphrase. Banger. Play more into that. Banger. Then he gets into, but at the end he goes into the drop, which I thought was completely trash. I just hated that. I really did. Then he gets into the second verse, second beat. Banger beat. There's a lot of great lines in this. I'm not going to go over the whole joint, but the Rick Ross shots I thought was funny. I thought the shots at The Weeknd, very good. The Ozempic got a side effect of jealousy. Doctor never told you. Thought it was cool. Then again, like he says the N-word so much in this second part, I felt like that was intentional. My last record deal was for 100 these days. That's a low ball. Thought that was fire. Who's next on the list? Which one of my so-called N-words? Which one of my so-called N-words? Thought that was cool. I thought that was like he was cooking, I felt like. Like that part, this beat, I thought my son, or like I said, on the surface level, I thought my son was cooking for real. I ain't gonna hold you. Good Kid, Mad City. We'll let the latch up and let the door slide. Thought that was cool. Tears running down my cheek, laughing at you dudes dying. That's a war cry. Fired. Hitter. Banger alert. I'm gonna skip it down a little bit more. Let me find another street dude I can take to the game courtside. I thought that was just a little bit weird. The shots at ASAP Rocky, I just didn't think that they were that effective. The one line where he said, ask Ring if this is a good idea the next time you cuddle in the bed again. She'll even tell you leave that boy alone before you get your head split again. I thought that was fire. But the other shots, because they mid again, you should have put on another outfit or something like that. I thought those would just didn't really hit for me, The two separate albums, dissing, I just did a Kim to it. I just skimmed through it. Fire. That's probably, if I think about it real quick, that's probably for me Drake's best line in the battle to me. I probably had to go back and review some of the other stuff he said, but that line right there, outside of like the comedy stuff, the funny stuff, I thought that was a banger alert. And then he also said something about Rick Ross reading his Miranda rights. Thought that was very funny. Then he said K-Dot stuff only hitting hard when Baby King put his pen to it. Drake, stop. That was like when Chris Brown was calling Quavo the weakest link of the Migos. It's like, bro, stop. That lie don't even have enough power behind it for people to believe, think it's believable. That just doesn't work. Then I thought this was kind of like an admission of defeat. Where he was like, Ross calling me the white boy, and the ish kind of got a ring to it. He was kind of like, bro, that joke is funny. It sounds good. Like, I can't hate on you for that. You know what I mean? Then he tried to flip it where he was saying like, because all these rappers waving white flags while the whole effing club sing to it. I thought that was cool, like a nice flip. You're trying to make it into a thing, but what the message that was left with me was, that white boy angle, it hit you. You feel what I'm saying? Like you felt that. Yeah, body after effing body. Rick reading my Miranda rights. Thought that was hilarious. I'm going on vacation now. Hope next time y'all plan it right, bruh. You trying to, like Joe Budden said this on his podcast. He was like, Drake needs to find a cool way to try to exit the beef. And I felt like this was it. And it was like, bruh, all right, you know what I mean? Now this third part, beat fire. I felt like the best part was the second verse, as far as lines that were connecting, that were really good and effective lines. The third beat, I felt like the beat was so fire, but the lines really missed. And there was a huge, huge miss in this third part. But Kendrick just opened his mouth. Someone go hand him a Grammy right now. I guess I didn't really get that. I mean, not that I didn't get it, but it's kind of like, again, it didn't hit for me. Now, as people online thought it was funny, things like that, I can concede that line as, like, that those bars scored. I'm not going to hate on that. Where's your uncle at? Because I want to talk to the man in the house. Again, where Drake is really striking and he's really, he's scoring good points. The comedy angle really hit for Drake, for me in this battle. I thought that line was hilarious. Reference to the My Auntie's a Man Now joint. Super hilarious. Mother I Sober. No. Is it Mother I Sober? No. It's like Auntie Diaries. Auntie Diaries, I believe is the name of the song. Very hilarious. He said, West Coast dudes do fades, right? Come get this behind with me because I'm handing them out. It's like, Drake, stop. That's not believable. You want to take up for Pharrell, then come get his legacy out of my house. I mean, according to the internet, that line hits hard because Drake has all his like memorabilia, things like that. But it's like he bought it. I will acquiesce to the internet. I will give him, the points for that line right there. I will count it as a hitter. No problem at all. A cease and desist for hoes. Can't listen to lies that come out of your mouth. Bro, OVO just sent a TikToker a cease and desist. Come on, Drake. I'm losing perspective on beef. Boy wanted to send a beat and not kill you for fun. That, again, was kind of like admitting defeat a little bit. Kind of trying to back out a little bit. It's where the misinterpretation came from. Your daddy got robbed by Top. You Sonny and Wayne like father and son. That's just not how it happened. He says, you tell me what I shouldn't say, but effing my dude, I already won. I thought that was funny. You know what I mean? Getting back to the N-word line. We already know it's 20v1. We already know why you went number one. The sound, the surface level of this is fire. No hate at all. Then he gets into the whole, this line what I thought was very strange. You're right about F the big three. It's only big D, and there's video proof. It's like pause, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy sounding. Then he said, then I, like Joe Budden made this connection, which kind of like, it kind of showed me a lot where I'm like, wow, that's kind of, it was like strange sounding, where he says, you have the big D line, then you start talking about you guys as children. Our sons should play together at the park. Bro, that just sounds weird. Then he says, two light-skinned kids, that it should be cute unless you don't want to be seen with anyone that isn't blacker than you. Okay, cool. Then he gets into the we get it part. We got it. I thought this part was cool. Then he gets into he says, oh shoot, it's all making sense. Maybe I'm printing you actually Mike. Mike was praying his features would change so people believe that he's actually white. Michael Jackson never thought that. He just never thought that. And we just got to do the research and avail ourselves to the research to understand Michael Jackson was a very proud black individual. That was Drake's worst line of the battle to me. That just did not hit at all. So overall, then he gets into the, now I believe this was Ice on Joe Budden podcast. We were talking about, maybe this wasn't Ice, it was somebody else. But yeah, I definitely think there's somebody else. But Drake at the end of this is like, yo, you're dead. Oh, yo, I think this was Rory that was talking about this. where he's like, yo, this was it. You did. I got you. You done. Like, yo, like his whole energy was, this was enough. I got everybody out of here. All my ops are smoke. I'm getting up out of here. I'm riding off into the sunset type. That was a mistake. Even before Meet the Grams drop, that was just a mistake. Because this was not enough. You feel me? But, of course, Kendrick infamously drops Meet the Grams, you know, and that song is just so crazy. I don't even need to go and break it all down because that song is just so crazy. Ice was like, if you open up any song, Dare My Child's Name, I gotta shoot you. And then it was saying like on Twitter, like, you saying somebody's mom name without putting Miss in front of it is crazy. Kendrick, again, the strategy, the strategic maneuvering that Kendrick did was impeccable. And again, going back to Euphoria, he knew that Drake was going to go down this particular road of the mudslinging. So I was already loaded up and all I had to do was hit upload. Now, mind you, during this time, I mean, being on Twitter at this particular time was absolutely fantastic. Really, from the time of Euphoria being released, I mean, you can even go back to the TaylorMade Freestyle and Push-Ups. It was great. But the time of Euphoria's release, then after 616 and LA's release, to then the next day getting Family Matters, then getting Meet the Grams right after that, man, Twitter was on fire and I enjoyed every moment of it. It was fantastic, you know? But Kendrick was just, again, he was just in charge of the whole interaction and the goings on. I don't need to go in and break down Meet the Grams. Now, concluding with Not Like Us, again, this song is so popular, it's number one on Billboard. I don't need to go in and break it all down. But like Kendrick responding with the A minor to like the Dave Free line, just showing you again his superiority in the rapping category, you know? And then there was a lot of people that were talking about, you know, you don't want to ride around and listen to Kendrick's music and Kendrick, this is you want to ride and listen to Family Matters because of how it sounds and all that. Then it was like, all right, Kendrick releases a song for you people to dance to. He covered all the bases. He covered every angle. Being called, people dancing to you being called a certified pedophile is crazy. 69 God is crazy. Super crazy. OV Ho, crazy. Come on, bro. He smoked this man. I'm getting to my point. Drake doing the Heart Part 6. So, okay, we already know, Not Like Us, super crazy. That does not need any elaboration or breakdown. Great song. Nail a dude to a cross, he walk around like Tizo. I mean, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Then again, Kendrick, King Onomatopoeia. Wop, 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 wop. Like, King Onomatopoeia. Sweet chin music and I won't pass the ox. Like, I mean, come on. That song just, it speaks for itself. Drake doing the Heart Part 6. Now, I get that. Kendrick did 616 in LA. You're doing the Heart Part 6, which I feel like is a mistake. You are the one that's supposed to set the tone. That's how it works. In Equalizer 2, Denzel brings those Caucasians to his territory. In Equalizer 1, he lures the Caucasian group to the hardware store where he works at every day. In Warfare, you want to be the one to set the tone. If you're playing catch up, being behind the 8 ball, that's a problem. So you trying to do the things that Kendrick is doing, that's a problem. But this is my real problem with the Heart Part 6. Bro, the song sucked. Yes, the misinterpretations of Mother I Sober, I get all of that. Now the rap surface level part sounded good. But the misinterpretations aside, the B sharp, not really existing aside, we get all that. Bro, you got on that song and you was really waving the white flag. So you ruined the Heart series by putting out a lame song where you tucking your tail between your legs. Come on, bro. People were talking about how Drake was on the TaylorMade freestyle. Nah, you following through. You scared to drop, all this kind of stuff like that. Bring the boogeyman out. I'm looking for him and all that. So on the end, you like, man, you got it burnt out, man. I know you're going to release a song 6 minutes after this. Man. Just sounding so burnt. That's whack, Drake. You thought it's like when, you playing the game back in the day, your little brother, want to play Street Fighter with you and he talking crazy, then you beating him. He like, all you do is play the game. You don't go outside this and that. Bro, why I gotta be all that? That wasn't the energy when you was up. Now that you lose it, now that, I'm saying, the people are not looking at you the same, the people are not, resonating with your music the same, you gonna sound like that? And you can tell the Meet the Grams drop really hurt Drake, because like I say, on his tweet, he's like, I know you're dropping 6 minutes after this, so, bro. Kendrick got 10 more tracks to release. All right, okay, man, whatever. Let's get to the facts. All my stuff, Drake, this sounded super crazy, son. So let me get to this cultural element in which we're missing. And I'm going to go in with Lil Yachty's comments on the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. So clearly, I thought Drake clearly lost. It was not even close. You know what I mean? The Family Matters song was a good song. A lot of good beats, memorable type stuff in the song. But that was probably his best. It was his best effort. But Drake clearly lost. I just got to say that for the record. So now, Lil Yachty's getting on. He's on a show and he's talking about how Drake was deemed a loser before the battle even started. And he was talking about how, he didn't feel like anybody won or lost. This is really a great example on why I use this battle to talk about the macro of this subject, which really is our culture. So the first part of this thing is, as I mentioned before, hip hop was built on competition, or competition was a big part of hip hop culture. I wasn't there from the beginning, so I cannot speak for like an actual fact in that regard. But we know that competition was a big part of hip hop culture, and when we're looking at the situation and we're saying, nobody won or lost, and how you have Questlove come out and say, nobody won, it turned into this or that. And then we got people, in the Muslim community looking at brothers like, oh man, it's turning into a mudslinging contest and all that, which it did. And I'm not mad at that thought process. I do wish that Drake did not go down the mudslinging lane. And so Kendrick would not have went down the mudslinging lane, because that's what I feel like would have happened. Kendrick would have kept it in a certain way, and Drake would have kept it in a certain way, But this notion that we're taught in the Nation of Islam that the Nation of Islam, the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, brings out the warlike propensities of the black man. As I mentioned before, the chapter 47 in the Holy Quran, Muhammad also goes by the name war. This thing of, as Sister Rhapsody said, being cut from the cloth, not being tender, not being this like, it's nothing wrong with standing up and being a man. Who am I if I don't go to war? You're not a man. It's nothing wrong with this situation. You understand what I'm saying? But for some reason, I have some guesses maybe, but for whatever reason, we want to go away from those or that aspect of who we are as people. As I mentioned with LeBron and as I mentioned with Drake, we want to take away, because we love Drake and because we love LeBron, we don't want to adhere, we don't want to keep the same principles that we've had this entire time, of this being our culture. Drake got washed, and that's all right. Salute my bro Drake for real, because he's a big Drake fan. I will call my bro respectfully a Drake stan. Respectfully. He's like a respectful stan. You dig what I'm saying? But, he said in the group chat like, yo, Drake lost. He took a loss. But at the same time, he like, now I said this and he agreed with it. Where I'm like, Dre's at home, playing the game, doing what he do, and listening to Family Matters. Push-ups and all that. And bro was like, yeah. That's really what a fan is. That's really what a loyal supporter, that's how they're going to behave. They're not going to not rock with you because you lost a battle. I mean, I really ain't support you. But at the same time, acknowledging that somebody lost in the battle, that's just being real. That's just being a man. This competitive thing of going toe-to-toe with somebody, mano-a-mano with somebody. This is again, why we love Kobe so much, why we love Ray Lewis so much, people like that, because it's about going toe-to-toe. And brother in the nation, he talks about, old school boxing, where I don't remember these brothers' names. I'm not even going to attempt to put it together, but we talking about in the heyday, the Muhammad Ali type time and before of boxing. Marvin Hagler, brothers like that, Sugar Ray Robinson, brothers like that, where when they would fight, it was not saying it's like, all right, to lose, but because really at the end of the day, it is. You fight, live another day. But it was really about going to war with somebody, going toe-to-toe with somebody, and showing that you're willing to get in the ring and you're not afraid. We've kind of adopted this tender style of way of thinking. And it's honestly really sad. We cannot have people dictate to us how our culture is ran. We should be the ones taking the reins of our culture and saying, no, this is how it is. Yes, Drake, you got to be authentically you. We don't know who you are. It's not that we don't love you. It's not that we don't rock with you. It's not that you're not our brother. But in hip hop, to be a representative or to be, in the pantheon of great hip hop artists, bro, you got to be authentically you. That's a part of it. So when you have brother like Lil Yachty coming out and saying, I did say I was going to touch on this whole feeding information, the whole mole situation. Real quick, my point is, people like going on the internet. I feel like Drake's team's like going on the internet and seeing what narrative has the most substantial, substantial support behind it where people could believe it. And so he's seeing like online, he's like, oh man, people really think that, we're feeding Kendrick the information. I'm going to go with that part. That's what I really felt about that. And as more things are starting to come out, it's really looking like Drake, you was fronting with the whole feeding information, bro. Like in every way, shape, or form, Drake really lost this battle. But when we having brothers like brother Lil Yachty and brothers in the battle rap community, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that. Even though I did it. All right, okay, I got to do it. I feel like to be fair, I did it with Lil Yachty. I got to do it in the battle rap world. We have brothers like Briz Rothstein, brothers like John the Don, Holmesy the God, and others. I don't remember all the names. DNA. Who else? It was a bunch of battle rappers. To me, what I took from this battle was battle rappers looked very bad. Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, you guys write raps professionally. You write diss records professionally. You're not appreciating somebody who is in control of the battlefield, who seems to be 3 and 4 and 5 steps ahead of his opponent, cutting off angles and being strategic while also being poetic, while also being theatrical, while also being lyrical, while also being layered. You people are not more appreciative of that. Like I said, John tweeted something along the lines of, nobody wants to ride to Kendrick Lamar's music. You want to ride around listening to Drake's music, which of course is a fact, but it still like, that's how you're deciding the battle? Or that's how you're deciding what music is best to you in this battle situation? We have to get control of our culture. So back to Lil Yachty, saying that nobody won, Drake was losing, or he lost the battle before it began. This, for the people that was there, that was, online, the narrative and the conversation between the tailor-made freestyle and the day before, so that Monday before Euphoria dropped, bro, the narrative was Drake was on a victory lap. He was chilling. It wasn't no Drake can't win. You ain't hear nothing like that. So adopting this revisionist history, like you heard Ish on Joe Budden podcast, something about Drake was in a lose-lose. I got a comment on Ish and Maul. This is just real. Again, there's a very popular battle rapper in the nation. I'm not gonna name his name. And he was like, he had a potential battle that, I wanted to be in the building for. And I was like, bro, I might got to stand in the middle because I'm going to react to what the other brother says if it's a banger alert. Now, of course, I'm going to be rooting, supporting your bars because, you're my brother in the nation, you're my man's in the whole shebang. But if brother come with some fire bars, I can't sit there and hear somebody as a fan of hip hop and sit there and hear somebody say some fire bars and look like Ish was when they was playing Not Like Us on Joe Budden podcast. I just can't do it. It's like lacking integrity as a human being. Come on, bro. Maul getting on his show, Rory and Maul podcast, and you just going crazy behind Family Matters and the whole feeding information thing. Bro, it's like, come on, bro. And then Rory hit you with the whole if Drake hit Kendrick Lamar, essentially, if Drake hit Kendrick Lamar with a Not Like Us, and you got everybody dancing around and calling Kendrick a pedophile or a woman beater or whatever the case may be, and that's a #1 record on Billboard, he's saying that Maul would classify that as the greatest diss record of all time. This is really what I'm talking about. We got to be able to stand on principle. We cannot be so led and easily swayed by the emotion of what we think is right or wrong, based on the emotion. Like Lil Yachty, nobody won, bro. Drake lost he lost well before the battle began, and he also, this whole narrative of everybody wants to see Drake lose. Bro. No. That's just not the case. I don't get behind this whole narrative of people want to see people at the top fall down. Now, there are some people, like when you talk about Floyd Mayweather, people talking about Floyd Mayweather that are paying the X amount of money to watch to see if the chance that Floyd Mayweather lose. Yes, there is a percentage of people out there that's like that don't like the fact that Floyd Mayweather is undefeated and all kinds of things like that. So I'm not saying that the narrative doesn't exist, but I'm saying that I feel like it's being taken way out of proportion outside of the percentage of population that is like that. Drake been the #1 artist in the world for years. If the population really don't like it, why are people supporting Drake like that? Why are people still streaming his music? And I think I just seen on Twitter today that Drake is back as being the most streamed artist on Spotify. So how is this person that's so disliked, that people want to see him knocked off the throne so bad, why is he back being as the #1 streamed artist in the world? or hip hop artists. I don't know if it was in music in general or hip hop artists, whatever the case may be. So what I'm saying is, as I'm getting ready to close it down, this competition thing, this rap battle thing, is a part of hip hop and black culture. We should not, and we really should stop trying to separate that because, you know, we're in a nation now, or we have this elevated way of thinking now or whatnot. There is a way to do this rap battle thing without there being any violence, somebody losing their life. We're taught in the nation to fight with those that fight against us, that fight with us. We're taught that we are soldiers. We are warriors from Muhammad. We are to knock out falsehood or to hurl truth at falsehood till we knock out its brains. This is a part of our nature from the God. It says in the Quran, vie with each other in righteous competition. So this thing is not separate from our nature. And then moreover, outside of the Islamic scope, for the brothers like, you know, Brother Questlove and others like that, oh, nobody won, or this is not competitive or whatnot. You didn't really listen to Euphoria. There was no mudslinging. There was no getting down in the mud. But it was a lot of sounds. There was a lot of patterns. There was a lot of flows. There was a lot of double entendres, triple entendres, all that kind of stuff like that. It was a lot of skill being demonstrated. Don't try to take away from this thing because it's not in the way that you see it. Brother Ed Lover. Oh, this thing is corny. It's not this and that. Bro, why are we doing that to our thing? Why do we not want to decide a winner? Why do we not want, because the winner's already been decided. There's some people out there that's trying to take away from that, but why are we trying to water down our own culture? We should be uplifting it. Yes, Drake got in the ring. He fought. I'm not mad at that. I salute that. But my son lost. That's a part of it. We should take the reins of our culture, our thought process, what we feel like is best for us as a community, and take control of that and demand that it be respected like other cultures do. Only our culture gets misused and abused and like, you know, exploited for what it is, whatnot. You got these people in, you know, that are Japanese or whatnot, making like drill music. You got DJ Vlad coming out and trying to, you know, get a sister fired from her job at Princeton. She's a professor at the University of Princeton. So it's like, bro, we should be the gatekeepers of our own culture. We shouldn't allow other people to come and dictate to us how our thing goes, especially specifically in hip hop. There are rules and principles, bro, and we got to be gatekeepers on that. Stop letting this thing get watered down because Drake is our favorite artist or so-and-so is our favorite artist. And we want to change the rules up. Son got on that Heart Part 6 and was crying. Oh, man, you got it burnt out, man. I know you got 10 more songs. You probably got 100 more songs. Bro! Like Son said on Paid in Full, pull your skirt down. Come on, bro. What's going on? I'm trying to use my platform to, again, help us to try to be more intelligent, thinking brothers and sisters, people, individuals. We should take ownership of our thing. Not let Rolling Stone and Double XL, the source, I don't know if these are black-owned platforms, I'm pretty sure they're not, or Billboard, things like that, dictate our culture. I'm gonna go ahead and close out on that note, man. Anybody that's made it this far, again, this is a longer episode than I typically would do, but I appreciate anybody that supports the channel, supports my podcast or whatnot. The last video on YouTube got over 100 views, my most views by a long shot. So I greatly appreciate all the support, man. I really, really, really do appreciate it. And I just love to talk about trying to make us better as people. That's really my motivation behind this whole thing. Don't weaken principle over emotion. Thank you, man. This is another episode of the Tech Building Podcast. When the devil tries to keep you down, you always show up with the strategy. Thank you once again. Peace.